Hey guys, this is Frank from Bass Rokit. Today I'm going to be teaching you how to make some bass, funnily enough. This is part of my Elements tutorials, so today's bass, then there'll be drums and subs and synths and that kind of thing. We're using Propellerheads Reason. This is version 5, you can use 4, 5 or 6. So we'll get straight into it. So I assume you used Reason before, so you'll know that it should be a main mixer and a mastering suite already connected up to the rack. So we can right click in the blank space, create a combinator, name it something, boom or whatever. Right click inside the combinator, create a line 6 to 2 mixer. That's connected nicely. Right click under that, create Thor Polysonic synthesizer. You want to initialize the patch if it isn't already. So right click initialize patch, open it up. Now in my song I've used the pitch bend to automated the pitch bend so it slides between sort of octaves. So I've got it on 12 semitones, so it's a full octave. I want the portamento off because that's just what I used. You can have portamento on so it slides between the notes, but we'll leave it as that. We want the keyboard mode on polyphonic, and then just leave polyphony and release polyphony as they are. We're going to open 3 oscillators, all wavetables. And we want a 3 octave spread, starting octave 4 for the top one, 3 for the middle one, and 2 for the bottom. So the first oscillator, rather than basic analog, we want it as 5 signs. The second oscillator we want as 10 signs, and the third oscillator we want as synced ramp, I think. Yeah, synced ramp. So the position of oscillator 1 is going to be on 83. 84 is okay. Position of oscillator 2 is going to be on 630, sorry. And the position of oscillator 3 is going to be on 62. Now for each oscillator we can leave crossfade on, leave KBD as max, and leave the semitones as 0. So that's fine. Next we're going to run them through to the filter, but we'll change the filter to comb filter. So just to give you an idea of what it sounds like now, if I turn it up on here. So we need to change now the filter envelope, or the frequency should I say, filter frequency down to 166 on this comb filter. Drive is fine where it is. Envelope, filter envelope is going to be down to 0. Comb plus and minus, it needs to be on comb minus. And that's it for your filter. Next to the LFO, we want to turn the key sync and the tempo sync on. We want to put the rate to 4/4, and we want to put the waveform to waveform 7, so the upward squiggly line bit. Now in our filter envelope, we want to put the attack, decay, sustain and release down to 0. And the amplitude envelope, attack is 0, decay is 0, sustain at minus 3.7, and the release is 0. Now in our mixer we want to put the balance over to about 80 or 82, will be 83 if fine, so we're getting more of the second oscillator, and we want to boost the third oscillator up to 0 dB, so it's max. This is what it should be sounding like now. Again, if I put portamento on, it slides between the notes, so you can do that if you want, but I haven't done it for my song. So now in the modulation matrix, we want to put the source as LFO1 for 3 of these channels, so LFO1, LFO1 and LFO1. And then the destination, we want to put oscillator 1, 2 and 3 position. So oscillator 1 position, and then the same for 2 and 3. Now the top one is going to be at 60, so the amount for the first one, 60, 62 is okay. The middle one is going to be at 38. You can hold shift to get more accurate on the old slider. And then the third one is going to be at 100. Now that's about it for our Thor, so it should be sounding like this now. So we've got a nice bit of movement on that. Now we want to fatten that up. Rather than distorting it using a maximizer, because it can distort if you use maximizer, we're going to duplicate it. So we can right click, duplicate devices, and then just plug that into the second channel of the mixer. And then pan them, hard left and hard right. Sounds much sort of fatter and wider. It's kind of like, yeah, it just puts it into either side of the whatever you call it. I'm really tired. Yeah, the stereo field, what a plonker. So yeah, now we need to distort it a little bit, so we're going to add a Scream 4 distortion. Create here. So on haywire. Right, it does that. I hate it, but you've got to put up with these things. So we connect it into the input and then into the from devices of the combinator. I assume you know how to do routing and stuff anyway. So we want damage control on the Scream 4 to be about 48. 47 is fine. Damage type to be tube. P1 to max. P2 to 0. We want to turn the cut on. Put the low cut to about 14. The mid cut to about 30. And the high cut to about 20. We're not going to use the body, and we want to put the master, boost it to about 92, something like that. Now we need to carve out some of the frequency and boost it, so we're going to use two equalizers. So right click, create EQ, put it to the top of the signal chain, and the same again, right click, create, right click, sound like batch. Right, so yeah, back to the top of the signal chain. Okay, so the first EQ, we want to carve out some of the bottom and make room for our sub. So the low shelf, turn it on, frequency down to about 80 something, 84 or whatever. 80 will do, and then the gain, bring it down by about 6 dB. That'll do, and then make it nice and wide on the Q. Param 1, put down to about 350. 369, something like that. And we want to carve out some of the low mids to make room for our other bass that we've got. It basically takes away some of this scruffiness that's rather loud. That's in the low mid bit. Can't really tell, but we'll just assume that I'm right in this particular situation. So yeah, we want to open the Q to about 3, so it's quite wide, so it brings out some of the range there. Now we want param 2 to be put up to about 2.5 kilohertz. Boost it by about 9 dB. 8.6 is okay. Now and then make the Q nice and wide, so you can see we've got a big sort of skirt, as if you want to call it that, there. So it's boosting the high mids a lot. Right, so the second EQ, with that you're going to get quite a lot of piercing sort of sound at around 2.5k. So we want to carve that out. So we go back up with this param 1, switch it on, put it to 2.5k, and then bring it down by about 7 dB, something like that. And then we can make it a little bit closer. So Q about 8 or 9 or something, that'll do. And then param 2, turn it on, put it up to about 10 kilohertz. So we want to make it a bit sort of, I don't know, brighter or something like that at the top. So 10 kilohertz, and then boost it by about 5 dB, 6 will do, and then make it at about 3.5 on the Q. So you can see it's a nice little sort of notch there. And this should be, that's massively loud. And that's basically the, it's more of a squeely bass kind of thing, or like, I don't know what you want to call it. But just to give you an example of the song that I used it in, called it Flux Capacitor, in memory of Doc Brown. Anyway, here it is, and I've automated the pitch bend, as you can see here, and here and here. Now that's the sub, that's the Maelstrom bass, which is another part of the frequency spectrum. It's just basically a similar thing, but it just fills some of the frequency spectrum. And if we play them all together, I didn't mean to play it with the drums, sorry about that. And that's it. So there's a bass. I'll come back with more bass. So if you want to comment in the comments part of the bottom, just tell me what you think. Take the mickey, some sort of thing. Yeah, link in the description to the song as well, and to my SoundCloud page if you fancy a listen at some of my songs. And yeah, thanks for your time.